Okay, up first we have a follow-up article on ArcheAge. It's just another video including dungeon combat, which I know a lot of people are probably wondering, what more is there than building boats and houses? Well, there is actually fighting. Here's some dungeon combat to prove it. It also has a little bit of emphasis on trading, the market system, things people are probably wondering about how it relates to other gameplay, other MMOs. So this is probably a good video for you to watch. So check it out. It's from SWTOR. It's the channel I always go to for MMO or Korean and Asian MMO content. Also, and massively, we have more news from the Firefly MMO that was being made sort of under the table by Dark Crowd Entertainment without Fox's permission, and they stopped producing it. Whether or not there was a cease and desist, I'm not sure. But either way, Fox has more or less given them the go-ahead to keep producing the game. Not sure any more details on that, whether it's revenue sharing or how that's going to work out. But I'm on board for a Firefly MMO. I would love to see one. So hopefully this turns out for the best, and we all get a Firefly MMO that is amazing and that we can all love, and it's not going to be some big flop or something terrible or a lawsuit we got to read about, even though those are kind of entertaining at times. Over in hardware, we have the sequel to the Nostromo, the Razer Orbweaver, for 130 bucks. I personally use the Logitech G13. I'm a big fan of it. It's just great to be able to sit back straight and have one hand on the mouse, one hand on the left-hand keyboard, and not worry about, having to use a full keyboard and not be able to program and things like that. So this will give you programming features and just a whole lot of customizable options. And if you're like me and you have back problems, I have scoliosis, this is usually a great option. Okay, over at Massively, one of the writers is doing his own personal sort of study on the Chromebook, the new Samsung one for $250. Now, it's a really interesting video to watch because he's discussing what he's going to be doing in this, more or less study. He's going to see what the Chromebook can really handle in terms of gaming power. Now, it's, 16 gigabyte flash hard drive for the entire unit. That's not a lot. That's one big game. However, it is a Chrome ran laptop. So it's not going to be playing Crysis and, other graphically intensive games. So he's looking to play games that someone might play on, let's say, the iPad, playing them on the Chromebook and having an expanded sort of MMO experience out of it, because on the iPad, sometimes you can't really achieve that higher MMO level. It just maybe has multiplayer functions, not necessarily massive internet connectivity and, dozens of people on screen. So we'll see sort of how his adventure takes him. Because I personally would love to have a Chromebook. It's sort of in between an iPad and a laptop. It's more like a MacBook Air in my personal opinion. I haven't used a MacBook Air too terribly much. But for 250 bucks, it's hard to go wrong. And if you have any family members, or if you're in college and you don't need things like Photoshop or Autodesk, the Chromebook's probably the best solution for you, because you have a full keyboard, nice big screen. It's like a netbook basically. MacBook Air sort of vibe going on. So this might be the answer for you for 250 bucks. It's hard to beat that. Now, I'm a graphic designer and I love infographics, especially ones that resemble sort of airplane safety manuals. And this is just talking about Angry Birds sales over Christmas week. 30 million over Christmas week. That's pretty astounding. It's numbers like that kind of hit us and fall down low. We don't care anymore because we hear large numbers all the time, especially in big box office releases for movies and multi-million unit sales for like Call of Duties. But if you think about it, 30 million on 1 week for a game that's been out for a long time, that's pretty awesome. And it just shows how, even though a company like Zynga is taking a huge hit and kind of falling by the wayside, a game like Angry Birds that just keeps making, or a company that makes Angry Birds that just keeps making more Angry Birds, is having tons of success for a pretty simple game. So that's pretty amazing, and just shows how the market kind of, feeds itself and will either fall and rise just based on user demand. And tying in with extraordinary sales, Minecraft Xbox Live, 5 million sales. That's a lot, especially when it's controller based, so you kind of lose on the actual control level, and also the worlds are kind of small and in comparison to anything, let alone the PC version, which is endless. I'm astounded that has 5 million sales. And on Christmas Day alone, 453,000 sales of Xbox Live Minecraft. Wow. Lots of money for RJ Studios, lots of money for Mojang, or sorry, 4J Studios. So, you know, they can all buy Ferraris and plan more corporate adventures because these are nothing but extraordinary numbers. Okay, so this article is a follow-up to an article that I forgot to mention yesterday, but I have it for you today. It's about a patent that Sony filed yesterday. Now, this patent entails Sony basically encoding DVDs and Blu-rays to a single user. So, like, you know, the CD key you always type in for PC games and for, you know, gift cards and things, it'll just be on the CD itself. So when you pop the CD in, it recognizes the serial code and then binds it to your like PSN account, basically. So it's forever your game, and you can never trade it, especially to a company like GameStop, because a company like Sony or any other game developer, publisher, they lose tremendous amounts of money to companies like GameStop. Because let's say they sell you a disc. It's $60, they make $60 on you. You decide 6 months later to sell the game to GameStop for, let's say, $25. GameStop then sells it for, let's say, $45 to $50 to another person. That person gave GameStop that money. So 2 people have bought the game, but the publisher only saw 1 purchase, whereas GameStop has probably seen 2. Your original purchase, which the money also went to the developer, and then the resale of it. That game could be sold up to 100 more times if it's a popular game that has a quick turnaround. There's no telling. And the developer only sees the 1 sale. So this is a big deal. I personally think GameStop's a dirty company for these practices. It is legitimate, but inherently I find them very dirty. I think individuals should be able to sell games to other individuals. However, I think companies like GameStop have gotten so big and it's almost too late to say, no, you can't do that anymore. So it is up to the developers whether or not they want to license games to single users. Really, in theory, game developers could take the $60 mark of games all the way down to $30 and actually get more profit from decreased value in terms of the users more willing to pay the money. And then also, if they disable resale, a $30 game is a lot less of a pain for a lot of people to have to buy. And companies like GameStop would have no footing because they'd, 1, had nothing to sell, and 2, the resale market. I just hate GameStop. I think it's a dirty company. So that's that. It's an interesting article. And if you want to see the actual patent information, you can go to the main article right here on Joystiq, which discusses the actual sort of, you know, serial key logging information. Okay, over at Slick Deals today, Sine Mora is $2. And honestly, I don't think I need to show you much because a game for $2 is worth checking out on your own. It's a really cool side-scrolling shooting game. I might go pick it up myself. Okay, so we have an article that reminds me of, let's say, the Salem witch hunt and Fahrenheit 451. In one of the nearby towns of the Connecticut shooting town, city officials are encouraging people to bring violent media, aka movies, games, things of that nature, to a public execution of sorts. They're going to dismantle, break, snap, and burn said content. I don't think public burning should be legal. It's hate speech in my eyes. It's saying, here's creative content that people have poured countless hours into. They find it to be amazing content, and it's destroyed in the public eye and it is deemed hate speech, basically. I see just all sorts of fallacies with that argument, and this is an article from an expert in the whole, how does violent media affect individuals and kids? It's a really interesting article, and I think it's something important for all gamers to have a little bit of information to actually argue the case on behalf of gamers that we're not all crazy, and that a lot of these awful tragic events have nothing to do with video games. You know, these people could have read the Odyssey or the Iliad or watched any countless war documentaries, things that are both informative, traditional, and they could have also just been in the military, which a lot of people value the military, but you're actually taught to murder people in real life. You tell me where the hypocrisy ends and where the values of burning things in public begins. Okay, so the game devs over at the Star Wars The Old Republic apparently heard my cries for more sex in video games and have added same-sex marriages into the Old Republic. I'm all about it. I love, marriage in MMOs. I think it's a really cool feature. I've been playing MMOs since Ultima Online, and that was a huge feature in Ultima Online. And I think that's cool that they're still bringing it into games like Rift and the Old Republic. And adding same-sex ones, although is a headline, I don't see any reason it would have not been included, or why it should really be a huge deal, even though I'm sure tons of talk shows tomorrow or in the coming weeks, or probably in 2 years when they actually get wind of this old information, will make a big deal out of it. But for now, that's the news as I see it. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any news tomorrow or the days to follow, please tweet them at me at Algol Gaming, at Algol's News, or hashtag Algol News, Algol's News. I'll see it, and if it's an article I like and enjoy and find informative, I will pass it along in the videos, and I'll try and cite you if I remember to. But either way, I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow or the next day, we will probably do the weekly wrap-up with FNG Eddie. It'll be live on Google Hangouts Air, so it's a live podcast basically, and it'll be recorded, but you should also try and come live. It'll be fun. No time set yet, but follow me on Twitter, follow me here. I'll try and do my best to keep you informed, and that's it for now, and I'll see you tomorrow.